Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes ball. People might yet win it here for Wolves. Blasting the shot. What a goal!
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Wolves Fancast, boys. Oh, it's gonna be a fucking good show, isn't it? It's Rich Hobbs here, and joining me on this Sunday evening, I've got Adam and Tom. Boys, how are we both feeling?
In the words of Connor Cody, beautiful, eh? What a day! What a day!
I was going to say, I don't know where to start. Look, we usually keep all of these podcasts, we try and keep it sensible and we go through it play by play. But let's have some fun today because, boys, that was a big old win. It feels like we've been waiting forever and a day. Well, 2 weeks, to be honest, for this game. But, it was worth it. And there's a lot we've got to get through. We've got the goals, we've got the fans, we've got everything to kind of get through. And we will try, between the enthusiasm, we will try and actually talk a bit about the game as well, because I think it was quite an interesting game. Big shout out to everyone who is joining us live on YouTube, on Twitter, and Facebook, and anyone who's listening back afterwards as well. But look, before we get into it, I just want to say, this is the reason why we do these shows. Look, Pricey, you've been on Fancast for a few more years than Tom. We've had to do some crap old. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I went there. Yeah. If the question was why this is why we do it, then absolutely, yeah. We've had some trudging dredge to watch, haven't we, over the years? And unfortunately, in sort of my time doing the Fancast, whenever we played the Albion, it's normally ended up with a bad outcome, to be honest. So, for today, to be fair, this is. I know we've had the bad record against Albion, but this is today's result is definitely one in the eye for everyone who wanted to avoid playing Albion in the cup. You're no, we've got to play them. We've got. You can't just always hide from your arch nemesis, can you? You've got to want to play them whenever you can. And days like today is the reason why we want to play them, because we're better than them and we've fucking beat them. Yes.
First time in over a quarter of a century we've won it for Hawthorns. And, shout out to everyone who's joining in live on socials. A couple of great comments already as we start the show. Emil, Seattle real estate broker, woke up at 3:45 to watch the mayhem. Love it. I feel like that's probably when some people woke up to start getting on it. A couple of people wondering where Stu is and why he isn't on. And Mike Evans, regular contributor, I imagine Stu is not sober. It's not stopped us before doing a Fancast, but you're probably not far off the mark, to be honest. So, look, let's get right into it. And into the game. The build-up was great. The atmosphere was on point. When the liquidator came on, it was perfect. But starting lineup, I mean, Tom, we talked about it in the previous show. It was very much what we expected, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The only one sort of question mark was whether Sarabia was going to be fit enough to play. So that was the only one, wasn't it? But I think it was pretty straightforward from O'Neill. I don't think he was going to play Ignori unless it was like an emergency. I just thought that the game had come too soon for him. And let's face it, he hasn't got many other options other than that, has he? So looking at that bench, it looked light, if we're being polite about it. So yeah, I think the team picked itself, and once Sarabia wasn't fit, Bellegarde was obviously the obvious replacement. The only thing that did, obviously, then it pushed Bellegarde into the central position, and that meant Neto went out wide, which obviously worked in our favour. Based on the goal that we scored.
Yeah, I think Bellegarde, like there were quite a few standout performances in that game. I think Bellegarde struggled too hard a word, but he probably didn't necessarily get the opportunity to make the impact he'd have liked to in that game. He had a great sort of shot, I think, in the second half where he kind of curled one around the post. But it was a bit of a shame not to see him get a bit more of a focus. But I guess when you're in a front three of Mateus Cunha, Pedro Neto, and Bellegarde, you're always sort of going to be that third string in a way, aren't you?
It's a strange one with Bellegarde because he sort of started like house on fire, didn't he, when he first joined us? I think it was Man City at home, wasn't it, his first game? And I think obviously the twin impacts of like getting sent off plus having injuries kind of like slowed him down a little bit when it comes in terms of impact. But it's no doubt he's going to be a quality player for us. He's got that bit of pizzazz about him sometimes. But yeah, with today, it's a bit of a weird like front three, isn't it? Like Neto, Cunha, Bellegarde, because none of them are actually like out and out strikers, are they? In a way, they're kind of. I mean, Cunha's the best one we've got out of the three of those. Is like somebody who's been asked to play that role as well. But I mean, you wouldn't necessarily think of a Bellegarde as playing in like a sort of a advanced forward or striker role. And Neto, Neto just gets to do what he wants. Basically, Neto is allowed to do where he wants, go where he wants. He can turn up at any house he wants to in Wolverhampton right now. To be honest, he can just do what he likes. But yeah, I guess you could class it as like a more fluid, flowing front three. Our three soldiers on the front line, I guess you could say, given the graphic that you just pulled up there, Rich.
Yes. I was to say, I mean, starting the game, I know a lot have been sort of said in the build about how Wolves best approach it. And I know, Pricey, you did a tweet a few days ago in terms of, ideal outcomes. And you were spot on with your third one about it being a professional job. But with everything that went on, it's kind of easy to forget that Albion came out with traps fucking flying. I'm not saying I was too worried, but they really did just try and catch Wolves off guard cold in those first sort of 5, even 10 minutes or so.
I was quite surprised, really, because we all said on the sort of preview that we thought they were just going to sit in and just try and frustrate us. And they went high line, high press, and then which you thought, well, that's clearly going to be working our favour with the pace that we've got front. But I'm not going to say to be fair to them, fuck them. But they started pretty well. They had us on the back foot for the first 5 or 10. And at that point, it didn't look like it was going to be the sort of walkover that a few people predicted. Especially down our left, they really see. I don't know if that was a target. I mean, it seems to be a bit of a target for a lot of teams. I think when at least when Aït-Nouri's not playing, but they got in about 3 or 4 times down our left hand side. Made Jed Wallace look like a half decent player for 10-15 minutes, which was a bit depressing. But yeah, I mean, we generally marshalled that reasonably well when the ball came in the centre. But yeah, the warning signs were there early doors.
I think I kind of expected a bit, though, we really. Well, I certainly did. I expected them to, as they're the home team, big game, I expected them to come at us a bit right from the off. And you could kind of tell when we did manage to get the ball right at the start of the game, we slowed it right down. Like when we got the ball, we were just happy just to take the sting out and knock it about a bit. And I think that's probably, you could probably tell that O'Neill's probably told the players not to get too caught up in the emotion early doors and not start thinking that we have to just go all out attack at them right from the start. Play with a better team. We just get the ball down, do what we do best, and just pass it about a bit. Let the occasion get to them. As one of the comments just said there, I think Martin wasn't it? Said it was their cup final. Let them come to us and let them try and think that they can overpower us, which obviously they can't because they're shit. But we just got the quality on the ball. When you've got a midfield two of like Lamina and Doyle, right? Doyle is your absolute ball player. Someone who takes care of the ball, looks after it. And Lamina's there to help push us forward. and it's obviously we know how good he is at winning the ball back if and when we do lose it. So I think for the first 15 minutes, I fully agree. We were predominantly on the back foot for that first 15 minutes, but for me, it wasn't entirely unexpected. I think that was probably one of their game plans to try and get an early goal and get their crowd of bird-loving throstle lovers on side, and then we could just take the game from there. And that kind of how I saw it panning out.
Yeah, and it did almost sort of feel like as soon as we got past that first 10 minutes or so, it did sort of click into place, and whether it was deliberate or just they had caught us off guard, and I think it did help just calm it down a little bit. I think I can completely understand why West Brom, and he said West Ham there, I can completely understand why West Brom kind of wanted to see if they could just catch us off guard in the first 10 minutes, because then they've got that potential opportunity to just sit deep and really deep. And then actually, as soon as you kind of go through that first 10 minutes, you've kind of got to work out what you want to do for the rest of the game. And all of a sudden, it just felt like, hang on, Tommy Doyle's getting on the ball soon. Lamina's getting on the ball more. Semedo's starting to advance a bit more. And, fair play to West Brom, because for a decent amount of time, they were pressing us really hard at the pitch. Even, we'd get possession back. They pull everyone back behind the ball, but they wouldn't just retreat back into their own half. There was one point where they had about 7 outfield players in our half, defensively lined up. And I do have a level of admiration for trying to hold us to it. But yeah, you're right. With that left-hand side, I don't know whether it was sort of Doherty in his slightly more unnatural position, maybe Toty being a bit of a weak link. But the good thing, I guess, is that if they do get a bit of space and Jed Wallace does get a bit of room, as soon as that ball went in, just Kilman and Dawson and in particular and Toty just taking care of business. Because Kilman was standout today for me.
Yeah, I think they did really well. I think we've been good at that this season. With balls into the box, I think they just back themselves. The 3 big units at the back. So I just think they fancy it, so they don't generally mind if the balls are coming in. I think with this Wolves team in particular, it's probably as credit O'Neill as much as the players, is they seem to work out a way to play against the opposition, or at least as the season has gone on. They've seemed to sort of work out a way, to either stifle the opposition or to find little pockets of space to help us going forward. I mean, they always seem, whenever they cut to O'Neill on the side, he's always got, I think it's an iPad in his hand, and he's talking to, the coaching team, and he's always seems to be, I don't know, it's like he's in game, it's like Football Manager in game and trying to work out shapes and where to put people and just generally work out the dynamics of the game. So I do think we seem to see that, and I think that might have been the case today where, okay, they rode out the first 10, 15, but after that, it was sort of a reasonably measured, controlled approach to the rest of the game, which seemed to sort of stifle them and count in our favour.
Yeah, I mean, I know like West Brom won the XG battle, so to speak, but I don't know, this is probably a little bit of bias as well. I didn't really ever feel particularly troubled. Like, even in those first 5-10 minutes where, I think they had a shot, they got to the corners or whatever, I just didn't ever kind of feel that squeaky bum time at all, really.
Let them have the XG, because they also claim they won it in the stands as well today, according to Twitter. So
that's the real quiz. That's the real quiz.
Yeah, is that like a new metric we're judging? Like, it might be because Wolves haven't played in a derby in front of fans in a while. I didn't realise winning it in the stands was a thing, or is it only a thing because of what happened today?
I don't even know I don't even know how someone could even tweet that and won it in the stands afterwards. What have you won in the stands today? I don't know. Tell me. Apart from having like 4-5 of your own fans chucked out, so I'm interested to hear more on that one.
I was going to say I'll happily throw it to the YouTube listeners / watchers to see if they can give us an answer on that. To be honest, but yeah, it just felt like Wolves did sort of all of a sudden find their gear, particularly kind of going forward. And, you know, we knew we were going to have to break them down to a certain degree if we weren't going to get those opportunities on the counter attack, which we obviously, you know, did get eventually. But, you know, the patience and how they kind of went about it, and I think it's kind of underpinned by, you know, the likes of Kuna getting on the ball more, the likes of Doyle just being that, you know, absolute hand on a steering wheel to kind of just keep things steady. And I think Doyle in particular, I'm trying to think of the last time he played where I didn't go, he's had a really good game today. Like just every week now, and I think the game against Brighton on Monday and today as well, probably more Brighton to be honest. It's like those two games. It's like I can understand how he's been a Man City player, and he's kind of come through their academy because just his temperament in those occasions, how he picks the ball off when he needs to, how he dictates the play, his range of passing, just everything about his play. Like I can understand why he's progressed to the level he has, but unfortunately just hasn't quite made it at you know, that kind of top table, so to speak. But just the quiet operator who we needed today to just make sure it didn't blow over. But you know, that his performance, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, his performance ensured that we had those opportunities, particularly on the counter attack, and kind of made sure that we had West Brom chasing shadows a bit more.
I think so. He's got it's an easy comparison to make, and I'm not saying he's on that level yet, but he's very much got the Martinho about him for me. The way he plays, the way he keeps the ball moving and just ticking. He always seems to be available, you know, or making himself available for a pass. He doesn't shirk from a tackle, which is nice. And he's really, really grown as a player since the season started. You know, a few games at the start of the season, you know, I wasn't judging him too much because it was early days, but I wasn't impressed. But I didn't really see too much really, which made me think that Gomez and Lamina are going to have much to worry about. But now O'Neill's really got a selection headache in a good way, because we've got 3 top quality centre mids now, and in a system where you only play 2. Whoever's on the bench, it's going to be very harsh to leave them out, unfortunately. But I mean, what a great problem to have for a change.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely don't know. You know, we had a comment on YouTube from Sean Crow. Does Doyle keep the spot? Gomez might be the better player, but I think Doyle connects us back to front better. And I think he's sort of right. And I know, like, at the start of the season, I completely agree, Tom. I think he struggled. I know he was coming back from an injury and kind of getting, you know, acclimatized to a team and whatever. But I was like, well, how do you kind of get the chemistry to work between your centre midfield pairing? But it sort of feels now Tommy Doyle's got himself up to full speed, has got form, and it kind of feels like, due to Gomez's injury and Lamina's absence as well, it sort of feels like he could be the one who could play with anyone as well. And he's like, it's such a nice problem to have, because it's like, against some teams, well, let's have Gomez and Doyle. Against other teams, you know what, let's go pound for pound and go Gomez and Lamina, or you could go Lamina and Doyle, and just there was just no drop off at this point.
I think there might be an element of horses for courses with it. As you said, that as the season goes on, he'll decide. You know, depending on who the opposition is, who he decides to go for. I think at the minute, Doyle and Lamina also have a bit more of a goal threat than compared to Lamina and Gomez. We've seen what Tommy Doyle can do, because we saw it in the Brentford Cup game. You know what he can do. At the minute, like I say, I think, based on recent performances, it will be very hard for him to drop that combination of Lamina and Doyle. I think, you know, that at the minute, as the old-fashioned word Dave Jones used to say, he's got the shirt at the moment. What he'd say. I don't think Gomez can expect to walk straight back into the team, unfortunately. But I do think, as I say, as the season goes on, we will find that horses for courses approach. And we've also got Boubacar Traoré, who unfortunately is not going to get a look in at the moment. With these three ahead of him, I do scratch my head as to how he's going to get any game time at all. And then, I think it's like I say, it's a nice problem to have, because I mean, same as Tom, what you said. When he first joined, when Doyle first joined, I wasn't, shouting from the rooftops about him. I wasn't quite sure of him, but conscious that he'd literally just joined and he played the odd game here and there. But as he's come into the team and grown into the team, you can see why O'Neill rates him. I think he's already given us more than Mateus Nunes certainly has throughout Nunes' time last year. And, what a deal that was for us, the money we got off City plus Doyle. I mean, do you guys remember what the price was we could buy him for?
Is it 5 million?
It's 4
I want to say it's
4.5 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, just sign on the dotted line now. Let's just have him now.
I mean, you know what? If that is the only it's easy to forget. We've got transfer window closing in a few days. We've done fuck all in it. Surprise, surprise. But you know what? If a club turned around and said they've agreed to the option to sign him on a permanent deal, that would be a really good PR thing for a club, I reckon.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Absolute no-brainer.
Right now it's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, the amount of dross we've wasted millions on, you can get him for 4.5. It's just I think City got a 50% sell on, haven't they? And I could see Doyle could potentially go for big money in the future. So that's how they've got something out of it. I think you've got to take it, haven't you?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think even if we got a 50% sell on and we're signing him for 5 million, I reckon we'll turn a nice profit either way. I reckon, but it got to the point in the first half and sort of played into Wolves' favour, in my opinion, anyway. That I talked about it. We talked about it in the preview show that we didn't want it to be cagey. We actually need West Brom to come and attack us so Wolves can, use our ability to break teams down in transition. And that's what very much happened for the first goal, isn't it? And again, it's that combination of, it's a goal on the counter attack, but it's meticulous in terms of, Doherty, just anticipating the corner, picking it off, picking the pass out to Neto. And I believe, again, Pricey, you might have tweeted this. Apologies if I'm not. But the sarcastic cheers from the Albion fans as they thought they'd stopped him for a second and a half later for him to roll it past the goalkeeper. It just fucking... just inject it into me. And then the celebration, fingers to the ears. It's becoming a staple at Molineux now. After the Forest stuff, but it was just absolute clinical. And still with on the YouTube comments, Doc was great today. We've had another one. His Doherty's touch was amazing. Just it was ruthless, and even the fact that whether he got lucky or whatever, just brilliant.
Yeah, Doc really he did really well there, to be honest. Reading the corner, but that goal was as pure Neto that you can get. Like, if you wanted to describe to someone who doesn't know anything about football, like goals and Neto scores, it's that one. A breakaway on the counter. Like I say, fair play to Doc. He's read the corner, release Neto, and that's just what he does. That's what he's done for us so many times. Like, we break away, he's allowed to be shown inside. Fair enough. Like, he gets a little bit of luck with, he really rides the challenge. But it's a cracking finish, and yeah, it's just that sound is just the soundtrack to my day. That initial cheer that's been tackled, then half a second later, it just felt that part of it just feels complete silence, and just hear the Wolves fans at the other end. It's just amazing, just absolutely amazing.
I've not yet done a deep dive, and depending on how I'm feeling at about 2 a.m. in the morning, I might do, but gone down like West Brom vlogging, areas of YouTube yet. But I did see on Twitter, like a TikTok of someone who must have been in the Albion end recording it from their point of view behind the goal. And it is just fucking joyous because you literally see the people next to them go like, hey! And then just silence, the Wolves roar, Neto starting running over him, and then just flicking these left, right, and centre. Because he must I feel like Neto probably would have done that regardless of the sarcastic cheering, I'd say. But it did help justify it.
Yeah, he's got that little edge about him, hasn't he, that we love. So you can't beat it, can you? I just love the shot when the ball's in the net, and then you just see all the Albion fans behind the goal with like head in hands or stuff like that. I'm not bothered about the highlight of the ball or anything. Just look at the fans behind the goal. It's just I just can't beat it. It's so good.
No. And just pick out someone new each time.
Yeah,
each time you watch it back again, just pick out the next person whose head's in the hands.
yeah.
I mean, I was going to say, and to be fair, it came at a good time as well. 38th minute, just before half time, and like I wouldn't say like we dominated the game, but because it felt like we were just sort of holding on arm's reach, not really asserting ourselves more than we needed to, just in case, but not giving them any momentum either. But then to kind of go in, 5-10 minutes before half time, eventually, like 1-0 up did make a big difference. So yeah, half time comes along, all looking rosy. Second half, again, it progresses. We're still looking good. We're still creating chances. The game's open up, and it started to get a little bit more heated on the pitch as well. I think it's the thing I sort of noted. I think one which really aggravated me more was their left back Townsend sort of putting like a bit of a needless one on Sarr, which kind of went a bit unpunished. And actually, you look at a replay, and he just kind of pretty much elbow him in the back, nowhere near the ball. It's like, okay, that for me, it felt like in a derby game that almost comes in the first half, not in the 60th, 70th minute.
To be fair, I always thought going into the game, I always had my reservations about how long Cunha would last on the pitch, to be honest, because I thought if Albion do try this, like a wind-up strategy, who else are you going to pick? Who's the obvious standout candidate that you're going to rile up from the Wolves team? It's going to be Cunha, the fiery Brazilian up front, which that never seemed to happen. So you're right. When the second half started, you had like we'll come and speak some other incidents in a minute, but that was the first real one, wasn't it? It was an elbow or a knee to the back of Sarr that was fairly blatant, let's say, because the ball had long since been claimed. But that was the only thing for me with going to this game. I always thought, one, it's a good thing that Gomez is already suspended, because he would have probably lasted about 15 minutes in the Black Country derby. And two, Cunha, we saw in the Brighton game, how much he gets rolled up. I could see that it's a pretty would have been a certainly like a clear option from Albion, when you think, well, who could we possibly wind up enough to self-destruct? And I thought it would be him. It would be Cunha. But to be fair, he kept well clear. He kept out of any flash points. He wasn't involved, or there wasn't too many flash points anyway to be involved in. But I thought that was the only thing. I thought, well, in the second half, after that incident with Sarr, I thought, if they do start trying it now, I just thought, please not on Cunha. But I guess it didn't really materialise that much.
No, I think the main one was the on Kuna was the Carl Bartley
Carl Bartley one, yeah.
forearm / elbow, and I mean that as Goody said, like it's sort of the mark of a dickhead defender sort of thing. But he is just going to throw himself at Kuna because like he's got no other choice. But it's like ones like that. It just had that little bit of nasty streak to it, in the sense that like block him. You can't do anything about it, but sort of just raise your arm up a bit. That's a bit not on, and I think
That's what upset Dawson.
it upset. Yeah, I think I feel like I can't remember last show I said. I think like pick it like imagine Craig Dawson squaring up to you. Like I know Carl Bartley's a big guy, but Dawson's got old man strength. As I say, he's 3 years old. Like just. And like to be fair, Kilman's kind of going over, trying to like shout at them and also keep the peace. But it was like a couple of those points where it was like, hang on, this is not working in Wolves' favour to the extent that actually our players are starting to get hit here. But I did sort of think, you know what, the more they're committing, the more space it's going to leave him behind. And like Neto was my worry. It's like. I was worried about Neto because I've got flashbacks of Paul Robinson and Michael Kitely. And I'm sort of like, don't touch our star boy. But it's also like, actually, you know what? It just takes one late, I say mistime challenge and, for him to commit too good early. And Neto just has the pitch effectively. But I know it wasn't necessarily through to that, but again, Max Kilman, great game defensively, picking out just a little ball over the top to Kuna, who, again, I've watched it back about 1 million times, as we all probably have. I don't quite comprehend his sheer acceleration from his touch, like the amount of space he gave him to just be in the middle of the box with no one around him to then just slot it home. And then the celebration. Just we talk iconic. I mean, like I put out a poll on Twitter just before the show a couple of hours ago, sort of saying which was the more iconic celebration, Neto doing the ears or Kuna literally circling around the Hawthorns and pointing to the Wolves badge. This is ours now. And we had a great tweet back. Was like one of those celebrations incited a riot. I think we know which one's more iconic. But look, before we get on to all of that nonsense, let's talk about the goal, because it did just completely kill off West Brom, so to speak, didn't it?
Yeah, I think the reason why the Albion defence was caught out is because I think Kuhn is the only one who read the absolute shank by Kilman, because there is no way that was aimed at Kuhn.
What you say?
No, I love Max. He had a great game and an assist, but there is absolutely no chance that's aimed at Kuhn. He's just shanked it. But great, why not? Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, really good. The keeper's in absolute no man's land. If I'm them, I'm a bit pissed off the keeper, to be fair, because he looks like he can come for it, and then he doesn't, and then he's just so far out his goal. Kuhn said he got to put it through his legs.
It was very much a man caught between two bus stops, wasn't he?
Very much so. But yeah, fair play to Kuhn. He's the type. I was begging for him to score, because he's just got this bond, doesn't he, with the fans? And he's got such a nice bloke. And he said his interviews after the game, he's just like constantly smiling, and just everything he does is just to please the fans, to be honest. So yeah, he's in the old folklore now. So
I could watch that celebration just again and again. Yeah. You could just for the whole rest of the show, Rich, you could just have that on loop over and over again. It'd be great. I mean, you remember the Forest shootout, where he just loves it. He loves that connection with the fans when he was copying Gibbs White in the shootout, and we've got this today where I think he just gets it, doesn't he? He just gets it.
Yeah.
With us, with the fans, he's got that. He's someone who it seems as though he's glad to be here. He's one of those who wants to be here. he's got the skill, he's got the quality. You know, I think I don't know if I'm on my own on this, but I wasn't sure of his actual like finishing ability because you know when we first bought him under Lopetegui, you know he barely, you know, he didn't really get many goals. He did back end of last year, but this year, you know, he's been asked to play a very specific role in the team. He's doing what's been asked of him. You know, ideally, I think O'Neill has told us all that he wouldn't be playing this role if we could get another number 9 in up front. He'd have a different role in the team. But yeah, this season so far, he's been electric, hasn't he, with his goal involvements, as to call it. I don't know the goals and assists that he's getting this year or this season rather. It's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and that's then helped his connection with the fans as well. And I think as I watched some of the post-match interviews on Twitter, sorry, X now as I call it, and they said that you're now a Wolves legend because you scored against the Albion, and I suppose that also makes Neto a legend as well. But he's got a beaming smile on his face when he's been interviewed, and I love him. He's in. Kilman's my favourite player of the team, but Cunha's in danger of overtaking him because I just love Cunha at the moment. He's just everything he's touching is turned to gold, old gold.
I mean, like you're right. Even into last season, I think I had it down according to a great people at Wikipedia, 2 goals in 20 games. In just like let alone the assists that he's got this season, which sort of matches it anyway. He's got 8 goals in 25 games. Like he's a 1 in 3 striker, and like I feel like it can be easy to kind of get lost in like, you know. It sounds silly when I say it, I know, but like the Messi and Ronaldo stats in terms of a striker should be scoring a goal a game, or even like your Harry Kane's or Luis Suarez's or Lewandowski's. Like you can't think, oh, well, that's what a striker should be scoring. But frankly, for Wolves to have a player, a centre forward, who is getting you a goal every 3 games on average, plus getting you an assist every, 2 to 3 games as well, it's just something else. And he does it with a smile on his face. He goes about things, it seems like, the right way. He seems a great character. You can understand like why he's seen as a leader as well, in terms of that connection he's got with fans as well. And it's like such an innate thing. You can't teach it. Like
it helps with playing quite a lot more attacking football this year, isn't it, as well? It helps with much more attacking.
Does help him a bit.
Compared to Lopetegui's lot.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, like that. Like you say, we've got him, we've got Hwang, we're scoring goals. We're scoring, like, I mean, they mentioned it in commentary today that said that we're on course for our highest goal scoring season ever in the Premier League. And you think, God, remember when we like had Bruno and we were 0-0 in it or 1-0 in it every game, and it was just. And now look at us, like I say, we've got Cunha who's regularly getting involved. We've got Hwang who's already in double figures. Amazing! It's just it's brilliant, and all this without a proper striker, as we're as we're told, and we've loaned out 2 of the ones that we have got. But yeah, it's brilliant. And me personally, I'm much more confident now with Cunha when he gets a chance to have a shot on goal. Normally, like you say, Rich, like last year, his stats didn't really back himself to be a clinical striker. But now, different manager, different team, different mentality, different setup. He looks more the part now up front in the role he's got. And well, speak for everyone when I say just long may it continue.
Yeah. He snatched up one, I think, in the first half. He had 2 shots in the first half. One from quite far out, which he probably could have taken a bit further, and it almost felt like he was finding his range in a way. And then he hit one over the bar, but at no point did I feel like, oh, he's having a stinker. If that makes sense. Like, no, it'll come. He'll get a chance, and you back him at this point. So yeah, just phenomenal. It really was, and it was at that point where I guess game did turn on its head, and I guess we're sort of still waiting for some of the reasonings behind kind of what happened. I don't ever like to stop with words like allegedly and supposedly because it doesn't sort of tie us up nicely. But basically, it all kicked off in the stands after the goal. From what we are led to believe, I think there were Wolves fans who were in the Albion section who then celebrated. It all kind of overflowed. Lots of police got involved. Lots of West Brom fans got very angry. It all kicked off between the police. Fans were on the pitch. It was ugly scenes.
Do you know what though? You know when all this happens, right, Rich? And like the commentary says, "Oh, we don't want to see this." Like, no, this is exactly what we want. This is exactly what we've all tuned in to see.
Why are you panning away from it? I want to see what is happening. I think, I do. I understand like when commentators say it, but also at the same time, 20-odd thousand people have got to see what is happening in that situation. More people at home, it's like what is happening? What is going on where you can't physically show us? And it's very frustrating. But it's just like, no, I want to see as we've had a YouTube comment pop in and say, can we have a special mention for Sam Matterface's use of the word baton on comms? And it all went sideways, and the emotion spilled over, and like a bit of it you understand you kind of accept as a bit of part and parcel that the police will get involved, but then it just didn't calm down. And it did kind of get to that point, and obviously, the players went back inside. It was like, is this game actually going to continue?
Yeah, that was the fear, wasn't it? It was either going to be like a win by default, or they'd bloody find a way to abandon it and we have to replay it. Although I did think when it was all going on, there's absolutely no way they're going to replay this game. They're not going to put themselves in exactly the same situation again, are they? So, again, yeah. I mean, from what we hear, it was maybe I listened to the radio on the way back. I listened to WM, and I actually had an Albion fan who called in, and he said it was just literally just one Wolves fan, which is obviously stupid. I mean, I don't, think you should be getting tickets in the home end, full stop. But if you are, don't be a fucking idiot. Do you know what I mean? Just sit there and shut up. And if you celebrate, you probably are going to get a kick in. But then for all that to happen, for allegedly one Wolves fan in that end, where there's a different stand is clearing out to get involved, is just unbelievable. Like, what are you doing? So I'm not, saying that Wolves are the innocents here, but I think that's the case I've got like to answer for. And you see some of the footage, it looked like the Albion fans were just having to go police for no reason. But yeah, again, I mean, I'm sure stuff will come out, and neither team comes out of this with any. No, it's not. We're not going to come out of this for any glory, either team. So I'm not going to be pointing fingers or anything like that. But
it does seem weird, though, doesn't it? I mean, like you look at it online, and like you can see, like the one guy who's got in there, and then like there's some footage of it, or when it all starts kicking off, and you're thinking, well, like the same as you, Tom. I say for one, I'd never sit in the home end for a Wolves away game. And I would never ever do it for this game. You just wouldn't be able to enjoy yourself. You wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't trust myself to sit on my hands. Yeah. With Neto's goal, never mind when Cunha scores and you feel that that's going to wrap it up. I wouldn't be able to do it. I mean, I don't know if it's brave or stupid. If you're going to do it, people can make their own minds up on that. But all I can say is it's something that I would never do. Probably for the reasons that's happened today. But it is, as Tom says, it is quite funny when like the fans of the other stand can see something's going on, and they're that pissed off, probably with how shit they are, and they're losing to us. Finally, that they want to pile in from their stand into this other one to try and get at it. And all that happens is that their own fans start getting clubbed over the head with their batons, as Matterface says, and half of them and then start coming on the pitch and getting arrested and going to hospital. And I also did think at the same time, I thought, I did tweet at the time, there's no way that this game can get called off now because that's going to create even more trouble. And we are we're in the last knockings of the game here, really. So I did breathe a little sigh of relief when I think that, they called it out on the TV that if it was to be abandoned, the result would be taken as at that point. We just take the 2-0 away and that's it. But I feel like you wanted to see the game end. Obviously, it was never going to be the same tempo or mentality, once we've restarted, given the length of the delay. But it was mental. But it was something like this was always going to happen in a way. They can put the game on at whatever time in the morning that they wanted to start the game. They could start it at 7 a.m. if they wanted to. Us English football fans will just get pissed anyway, no matter what the time of the game is. We're going to start drinking early, or some will, and it doesn't matter. It's just going to happen. So it was quite weird because I watched it in the hangar in town, and it was very weird to get there at just after 10 a.m. and walk into what was almost like a full-blown rave at 1 a.m. And this was a Sunday, 10 a.m, and everyone's on the Madrid. There's girls walking around with luminous tables of shots of Jägermeister and stuff. And I'm just constantly looking at my watch thinking, yeah, it says 10:15 Sunday morning. And it was just bizarre. The whole thing was just bizarre. But yeah, I can understand why people sort of going for it and why tensions can get boiled over, especially from the Albion end, because it's our time now to start beating them at their own place.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that a lot frustrates me about it. I can understand it all sort of spilling over, but then when you've got those additional fucking idiots just running onto the pitch, that's what I don't get. And our man Dan got a great video of it with some of the notable.
Sit down and behave yourself. Sit down and behave yourself. Sit down and behave yourself.
Yeah, and you see the pictures and it's horribly stereotypical, isn't it? When you look at the people who effectively got, who just thought, I'm going to take a chance. Why not? And it's just the fucking dregs of society by the looks of it.
I'll never understand what someone gets to the point where I think, I'm going to do this now. I'm actually going to run on the pitch. I'd love to know what's the tipping point, when you get to that point where you're going to risk it all just to make a complete arsehole of yourself in front of millions of people.
What, I think, whether it's for a woman who starts trying to knock the ball between the steward's legs, the way I look at it is, what's the best that is going to happen to him in that situation? She's not going to nutmeg the steward and balls, Albion women are going to go, we got to fucking play on our hands either. Do you know what I mean? What is the best you can do in that situation? And I don't know. I've been to quite a lot of football matches in my time, but I've never felt the need to, throw full bottles of water at players, throw coins at opposition fans. Any of that, I don't get it on a base level, to be honest. And I don't fucking like the Albion. But just to think, I can understand it between our fans and their fans, and that tribalism can't go in a bit too far. But then, I don't understand. I really don't understand just going on the pitch and saying, "Hey, look at us, fucking morons!"
That's just West Brom, isn't it?
Yeah,
they did it in the under-23s.
Oh yes,
They did it in the 23s last year. I mean, Jesus, what are you doing? Seriously,
it feels a bit like I don't know. Maybe it's because we haven't played many derby games in front of fans in the last 10 plus years. But I remember Villa Blues when someone came onto the pitch and snapped Jack Grealish a while back. Literally, our sons just commented at the same time as me. Remember the Blues hanging around for pitch and hit Jack Greenish, according to him. But I can't talk about typos, so it just felt like such lowest common denominator. And the thing that frustrates me most about it is a stick to beat from non-football fans to beat football fans over the head with. Like that game had to be played at the crack of dawn. Police, it's action section 70 or something where you could do stop and search. That didn't fucking work because there were pyros going off.
Yeah.
And it's like all this stuff. And it's like, and we still have incidents like that. Like, can we not just be a bit better?
Like Tom says, no one comes out looking well. We're going to get a bit of punishment for this, as well as they will. They'll get in trouble for like passing tickets on to Wolves fans who were clearly, there were some that were in the home end.
Yeah.
We'll get in trouble probably for being in the home end, I guess. I mean, all their lot were the opposite end of the pitch, main away fans. So like they're just laughing, they're just sitting there or standing there laughing at them. But unfortunately, we're still going to probably get a bit of bother because of the ones that were in the home end. But that's Albion's fault for not being able to sell the fucking tickets, aren't they? Because they're tin pot.
Like again, I know we've got 4 months to worry about it, 3.5 months to worry about it. Because obviously we're playing Liverpool at the end of the season, aren't we? And there will be Wolves fans selling those tickets. And it's a different thing, and we could have this it's a conversation for another day about selling your tickets to the opposition fans, etc. But it's just like on a derby day, really, and you expect the expectation for people to control themselves. And genuinely, it makes me a bit sad that a Wolves fan doesn't have the sense of decency or modesty or humility not to react too much. Like, I lost my shit and I was watching it on TV in my living room. If I was in the stadium, again, like you said, Pricey, would I trust myself? And I'd be a bit, I don't know if I could give you an answer on that. But also at the same time, like, you've then got to hope, it makes me sad that then Albion fans, the only way we can react to this situation is, to incite a riot. And it's like no one comes out of it well. And, the players have to go back inside for about 10 minutes in the end. It felt like an eternity, to be honest. Yeah. And, you end up, Pedro Neto doesn't come back out. West Brom make 3 changes. And, the Pedro Neto one was literally because they didn't want him pulling his hamstring.
Yeah. He does come out of it well. Is good old Gary. Did you see what he said after the game? He had a little dig at the old Albion fans. He said something like, "Well, I thought the Wolves fans were really well behaved," or something like that. It's like, good lads. Like, well done. He knows exactly what he's doing there.
Yeah, it was very. And this is going to be a really sad reference. It's very Albus Dumbledore giving out house points in Harry Potter. It's like you guys in Gryffindor, you can have these extra points on top of it. Thank you. Less about my gripes about the point system in a fictional universe, though. But yeah, look, we saw the game out. I mean, I was a bit worried. Like, how is that last 15 minutes in total going to play out? Because it's like, is it just going to be muted? And it really wasn't actually. Like, West Brom did still kind of go for it and did, interestingly try and use their time to really test us, but again, they didn't get close, did they?
No, but if you look over the whole game, yeah, okay, we didn't have. It was a bit of a, I don't know, bitty game, if you want to say that. Like, I don't think it was a great spectacle, from a footballing point of view. But chances wise, really, we talked about the first 5 or 10 minutes, but again, they didn't really fashion a chance out of that. It was sort of, final pass territory. They had that one. The worst one for me was the one they blazed over at 1-0 from the Santi. I think blazed over at 1-0. I think that one, and then they had the one that they flashed across the box where Kilman did brilliantly just to get in front of Asante there, where they were peeling for the pen, which obviously wasn't. But that was it really. Sarr had much to do, did he? And again, Gary said in his post-match, he said he thought it was a reasonably comfortable 2-0, which again was very nice to hear.
It did just, I think, not even on the balance of play, whatever you want to call it, just upon reflection, it was quite an easy 90 minutes for this football team, and that's sometimes all you can ask for. But look, it means Wolves are in the 5th round. Draw was done today. Could have been a bit of a nicer draw, if I'm being perfectly honest. Wolves will face Brighton in the 5th round after we beat West Brom. It will be played during the final midweek of February. And if we win that, we're into the quarterfinals. It's a bit good we didn't get Maidstone, isn't it?
It was. I did watch the draw, and I did think it was on, to be honest, because the were a few balls into the draw, and like neither number had been pulled out yet, and I thought that this could happen here. And when we come out first for the home draw, I was willing that number 9 ball to come out for Maidstone. I really was, and probably like everyone else, when they realised it was Brighton, just like felt a bit deflated, like another Premier League team that we have to face, and another one that we've not had the best of records against recently. But Brighton, they're obviously a really good team, but they're not. I guess by their recent standards, that they're not performing to their best. The best as we've seen them. In the last season or two, but it's going to be really tough anyway. But I'm glad that it's a home draw. Put it that way, and this is where, I'm one of the ones. I'm in the up for the cup gang, but this is the time now. The 5th round and onwards is where you really start to really feel that, and then everyone else all comes on board, because you win that, then you start talking of you're in the finals stage, quarterfinals, and you think, we're only 1 win away from Wembley, and this is when we all start to get carried away a little bit. But that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun of getting a few wins in the cup and getting to this stage. You get to look ahead a little bit and dream a little bit.
I know that's sort of what I love about 3rd and 4th round. They're not quite gimmies, but for 44 teams, Prem and Championship, it's blocked off in your footballing calendar. So it's like, what? If you get knocked out in the 4th round, hopefully it's against a decent opposition, but you don't lose much sleep. The fact that we saw off Brentford, who we've got a little bit of history with, we took them through 2 games and got past them in the end. You beat your nearest rivals in the 4th round. You say 5th round's got something about it. Hang on, we could do something here. We're 1 game away from the quarters, and actually, you know what? If you're 1 game away from the quarters, then you're only, you're pretty close to being in the semi-finals. And if you're in the semi-finals, who knows what could happen? And you do just feel like that absolute fucking spiral, and I love it. In terms of a couple of the other games, as we mentioned, Maidstone United are away. They'll be playing either Sheffield Wednesday or Coventry. I sort of hope they maybe get Sheffield Wednesday for the attendance personally, but again, it'll be amazing for them, kind of regardless. Blackburn Rovers or Wrexham will be against Newcastle. A double header of ifs and buts, but Chelsea or Villa will be playing Leeds or Plymouth. Bournemouth against Leicester. Liverpool will be against Watford or Southampton. You've got Bristol City or Forest versus Man United. And you've got Luton versus Man City. I mean, you dare to dream, because I appreciate that, you've still got the likes of Chelsea, Villa, Liverpool, Man United, and Man City still in the draw. And bearing in mind 2 of those are playing each other anyway. So that's technically 4 really good opposition, and Brighton, I suppose. But actually, if we somehow get past Brighton and win the quarterfinals, we've got like a well, 3 out of 7 chance of not playing one of those really good teams in theory.
There's only two teams to fear, isn't there, really? There's only two
Yeah,
teams
exactly.
to fear,
So
that's Liverpool
actually,
and City.
there's a level of navigating a path to a semi-final here, which is fairly well on, to be honest. And like you look at Wolves' home form, you sort of back us against anyone. I mean, particularly because we've beaten Man City this season as well. And like, I'm not saying, oh, we're going to beat them, but like, I'm getting ahead of myself. No, I don't care.
It's the best way to be, Rich.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think with Brighton, I think one thing that sort of counts in our favour is that they should still be in Europe by then as well. So
Yeah,
I think I always think with a team like that, especially with the injuries they've got, their squad's a bit smaller now. You've almost got to pick your battles. So do you go for your Prem to get in the European places again? Do you go for your European adventure, or do you go for do you go for the Cup? I think you're very, very hard pushed to go for all three, particularly at the back end of the season. So yeah, I'm not saying they're going to throw it by any stretch of the imagination, but you might find a rotated side if they've got. I don't know the exact schedule of Europe, but if you've got games in and around, the Cup game, it'll be another midweek game. I think for them in that period, they're going to be playing midweek and weekends pretty much, regularly. So you might find a bit of rotation. We'll have Hwang back. Yeah, nothing to fear.
exactly. I mean, fingers crossed, boys. But that seems like a fantastic place to leave a show on, and hopefully we get through to a quarterfinals at some point because we are always up for a cup. I was going to say one last comment, which I tell you what, this would be amazing. But Watford still in the cup. I mean, that would be a proper redemptive arc, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like Brentford, West Brom, Brighton, knock Watford out in the quarterfinals so we can progress to the semis, put Demons behind us. I'm having it all day long. Big thank you to everyone who has watched and listened. We love you all. Keep up to date with all things Wolves Fancast at Wolves Fancast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you'd like to get your news and views, of course. Definitely make sure you check us out this evening because, between me and Dan, we've put a lot of, lot of content on, which should hopefully warm your heart on this Sunday evening as we all try and hopefully recover in time for work tomorrow. But look, as I say, big thanks everyone for joining us. It's goodbye from Pricey.
Just like to say as well, apparently, just seen that it was also Frank Skinner's birthday today, so we've ruined his day. Happy birthday, Frank.
Amazing.
Happy trails all.
What a way to end the show. Tom, I don't know if you can beat it.
I can't beat that. I cannot beat that. I'll just say adios and 2-0.
Yeah. See you next time and fuck the Albion.